Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, lovely people. Welcome to the Dom Trap. I am your host, your director, your editor, your all the above, your first, your last, your everything, Mr. Dominique. And today I have a very special guest. Now, this man, I've known him since 2015, April 2015 to be exact. Um, was browsing on the interwebs through a little app called Twitch, and I was seeing who was playing Mortal Kombat 10 at the time. And I was scrolling down, and I seen this little cute face, and I said, "Who is this guy right here? Let me see what he's about." So I click in, and lo and behold, it's my guy Reaper here. But back then he didn't go by Reaper; he went by Cypher 008, right? So that's almost been 6 years ago. 6 years. I'd almost say 6 years of friendship, but he eventually took a hiatus. I say that he was streaming April 2015 for a good bit, a good chunk, matter of fact. Um, Bringing in quite the crowd and doing several giveaways and everything, and showing his expertise in the gaming world. And then out of nowhere, when did you say you dropped off?
It was when my daughter was born just before.
Right.
So 4 years ago. So that would have been 2016. So about a year and a half after I started streaming.
Yeah. Now,
So
when he dropped off, um, I didn't know what happened to him. So I just went on my Xbox and typed in friends and just typed in Cypher 008 wherever I could. And luckily I found him and sent him a friend request and he accepted. So I was like, cool. What do I say to this man? Do I say, hey, come back, I miss you? What are you up to? I brainstormed for years just thinking about what I could say. I'd see him on, he'd be on World of Warcraft, he'd be playing the Killer Instinct, he'd be playing all these different types of games. And I'm like, all right, what do I say? And I never said anything. So October of 2020, I was just sitting at home watching TV and I get a notification on my phone from Twitch saying Reaper is online. And I think it said like come through or something like that. So I clicked on the notification. I'm like, there's no way. There's no way this man just dropped off the edge of the world. I mean, no Twitter, no Instagram, nothing. Just dropped
everything's
off.
gone.
I I go to your stream and I just see you sitting there. And I just type in the chat. I'm like, no way. Like, no way you're
I
here right now.
remember.
Yeah, that's all I could really think to say. I was just like, no way. There's no way he's here right now. Lo and behold, he was there at that moment, getting ready to play some Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Warzone to be exact. And I was just like, dude, where have you been and how are you?
Yeah, man.
That was
So much
basically it.
changed. So
Yeah,
much
man.
changed.
I mean, you gotta think, man. Like back in 2015, I feel like life was so much more simple.
Man, we were just kids.
Yeah, like I was maybe I was a junior in college, just playing fighting games. That was about it. And then, like I said, you were just playing games, and that's just how like me and you connected just through video games
Yeah,
and Twitch
man.
to be exact. So I think that's just crazy. I want to talk about that later though, but it's just crazy how a love for or affinity for fighting games can bring people together. Like it brought us together.
Absolutely.
Like for example,
Absolutely,
if
brother.
you weren't if you weren't playing that game when I was looking, I would have never known who you were.
Yeah.
So just think
Yeah,
about it. It's crazy
absolutely.
how life works.
Yeah, man. And
Yeah,
you've been a supporter of my channel and like everything like from the get go. And
yeah,
like like your family, man. Like
yeah.
it's I appreciate you and anything I can do to help. And I just want the best for you. And it's great, man.
Thank you,
It's
man.
great.
Thank you. Yeah, man. But I mean, I know that you know, but fighting games they do take a special place in my heart. Just because I
Mm.
remember my first video game console, which was the Sega Genesis.
Oh,
I was given that console. Somebody gave it to me for free. I had to be
what?
maybe 4 or 5. Gave it to me for free. All I had was I think Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3. I had Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. I had Shaq Fu. I don't know if you remember Shaq Fu or not.
No, I didn't have a Sega Genesis. My cousins did.
Yeah.
But hold up, I gotta ask you one question though.
What's that?
Is the game that I remember playing on Sega Genesis the most at my cousin's place, and this will be a
Which one?
test here. Okay, this is a test.
All right,
Okay,
I'm ready.
Bronco Desperados.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
I didn't
that
have
game
it. A
was
friend of mine
lit.
had it. I didn't have it though.
That game was so good.
Yeah,
I
I
love
got,
that
I got
game.
another one for you. Do you remember Streets of Rage 2?
Yes, that was
Yes.
also. Wasn't there? There was the add-on for like the where it was. Man, we're showing our age here. Okay,
Hey man,
yeah.
this isn't
Where you
this
had
is
a
this is a
disc
boomer
drive
free
and it was.
zone here.
So, do you remember having there was like that add-on? So you had like the Sega, then there
Yeah.
was like the Genesis piece that was like went on top,
Yep, the
and
Mega
then there
Drive.
was like the Mega Drive, and
Yep.
then there was the CD
Yeah, the
thing that
Sega
you could
CD.
the Sega CD.
And what was so funny about the Sega CD is like it was like this big expansion. They're like, oh, you're gonna look at games way different after you put this in. But man,
Right?
Sonic CD looks just like Sonic 3.
Yeah, it
Like
did
there's barely any
absolutely.
difference. Like
Yeah,
people actually paid for Sega CD. I skipped out on that
absolutely.
craze.
Yeah,
I think by that time I was getting ready to get my PlayStation. So
yeah.
yeah.
I got the PlayStation first, and then I transitioned to Xbox.
Yeah,
So
I had my Sega first, of course, and then I had my Nintendo 64. When I
okay.
got that, I had like Diddy Kong Racing and Mario Kart and Super Mario 64. And then from there, I got my first PlayStation
Mm.
and then got a Game Boy Color. I
Game
remember
Boy.
that Christmas,
Remember
man.
a Game Boy had no color.
Right. Like I just got a box for Christmas. I'm like shaking. I'm like, I don't know what this is. And I mean, there's no internet back then. So you don't really know what's popping and what's new or anything when,
No.
when you're young like that. So I just opened the box. I'm like, Game Boy. I remember like the big one, like the big silver one, but I've never seen one this small.
Yeah.
Then I had the color screen. I had like I think I had Pokemon Blue
I mean,
was
you
my
must have been
first one.
popular as shit in school.
I mean, I'm not gonna brag or anything, but when something came out, man, I kind of had to have it. Like especially when I was an only child at the time.
Oh man, yeah.
Yes, I had to have it made at that time. Well, in my household
Absolutely.
anyway. But
Absolutely.
yeah, man, I had that, and then I want to say after I had the PlayStation, I think that was time for Xbox. I got my Xbox first. Then after that, I got the GameCube. And that sounds weird because most people just straight up and got the PlayStation 2 first
Yeah.
because the PlayStation 2 had all the games.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got the Xbox. So I was like, okay, let me see what the new kid on the block has. And they had Halo.
Yeah.
So
That's my jam right there.
I think when I got that game, I had like Halo. I had the Aquaman game that came out for it, and the game called State of Emergency. I don't know if you know about that.
Uh, State of Emergency sounds familiar. I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever played it. I played. Do you remember when? So Xbox when Xbox Live first came out, the
Mm-hmm.
only game that was online was like Mech Warrior, and that
Yeah.
game was the
Yeah.
jam back in the day. Like that game was so sick. And then
Yeah,
they
man.
started bringing out some of the other games. But even before Xbox Live came out, you had Halo,
Mm-hmm.
but then you had Xbox Connect. So you would connect your Xbox to your PC
Yep.
via the Ethernet cable, or sorry, yeah, Ethernet cable,
Ethernet, yeah.
and then you just, but there was so much lag, you had to lead the target by like half the screen to make that
Right.
shot, right?
Yeah.
But that was back in the day when the pistols were the bomb.
Man, that pistol was you could snipe with that pistol if
That
you're good
man was
enough.
the two time
Yeah.
on that man.
Yeah. That thing was ridiculous, man. And then I mean, even in the first Halo, the Needler was pretty badass too. Like
Yeah,
that gun was laying
yeah,
people down. And then
yeah. When they did
freaking
the Combat Evolved, they brought it all back, right? Which was
yeah.
sick.
And then Halo 2 was like, yeah, you like the Needler? Let's let you have two of them at the same time.
Yeah.
And then
Or
they're like,
the noob combo. The
right.
noob combo.
Just freaking go up to him, like shoot maybe 3 or 4 times and then smack him, and then
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, he's done. He's done for. He's done
Yeah,
for.
man. But yeah, I had that. Then, like I said, I had the Xbox and I had the GameCube. And
Mm,
when I got my GameCube, the first game I had on that was Super Mario Sunshine because I think that's what came out with the system.
right.
And I think a few months later, Super Smash Brothers Melee came out. And then that was all I played for maybe a year or two.
Yeah.
Like, I still had my Xbox and everything on the side, but when it came to me like actually playing something, it was Melee. I mean,
Absolutely.
I could probably pick up Melee right now and go crazy. just from how much I
You
played that
should do
game.
it.
I,
You probably smashed me. I don't think I got to play it very much because I didn't get a GameCube.
yeah, yeah,
But
man. But
it's a sick game. I have the
yeah,
Switch now, so I want to get the Super Smash Bros for it now.
get it, man. Get Ultimate. We can spar on there.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I got
You'll
mine hooked up and
smash me.
everything.
You'll make me look bad.
Nah, not at all. Nah, you should stream it though. You should.
Yeah, I have to get
Gotta get you in. What's that?
I was gonna say I gotta get. I'll have to get a capture card for it because I actually
Right.
just secured a power supply and a new keyboard for my spare PC. So
Yeah.
today we're gonna be working on getting that up and running, and then running everything from my good computer all the way to my streaming computer, so I can take the load off of the good computer,
Good
so I can
computer.
focus on yeah. So
Gotcha.
that's gonna be pretty exciting. So I'm like super pumped for that today. So
Awesome, man. So it's all falling into place. That's
all
awesome,
falling
man.
in place, brother.
That is awesome. But yeah, man, it was just in October. It was just good to see you and hear from you and everything, and be able to be back in your life.
Absolutely. And here's the thing too, like when you think about friends, right? Like one thing that I always think of is, you know, when I kind of took that hiatus, like a lot of stuff changed in my life. Like I took some time off from work. I had a couple of things happen in my life that, affected me pretty greatly. And my wife is, a huge supporter of me and what I do and anything that I do. And
Yeah,
and I had to kind of reevaluate what I wanted to do in life. And she supported that. So I took
yeah,
that time to kind of recalibrate myself. And then when I look at my friends, right, like you and, all my friends that are here in Canada and stuff like that, like,
hmm,
um, even if I don't go and talk to them every day, I know that, um, you know, when I do reach out or when I do talk to them or if they reach out to me, it's not going to be like all awkward or anything like that. It's just like
right. It's
nothing ever
natural.
changed. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's just
natural,
natural.
right? So that's why, like, when you came back into my channel and after 5 years, I was like,
Right.
damn, like I was like, man, I like me and Don, we got along like
Yeah, we go
great.
back.
We go back, and I was like, man, I was honestly I was like, I was so happy and like I was so touched and moved, like that, after all that time, that even though we had never met like face to face or anything like that,
Right.
like it didn't matter, right?
It was
And it
strictly
just goes to
an internet relationship.
yeah, man, absolutely. And it's funny too, because like one of my closest friends here in Canada, like I actually met playing video games. Like I met playing Call or sorry, Rainbow Six Three,
Hmm.
and I've been friends with him half my life now. I mean,
Right.
we played rugby against each other in high school, and we didn't realize it until we actually met. But like that's the kind of, I guess, the power of gaming. Like it's an
Yeah.
amazing thing, right? Like people don't realize. People think, oh well, you're just playing video games.
Yeah.
It's
You're just
antisocial.
sitting there
It's
and just playing the game, and
yeah,
you're logged out from the real world. That's not what it is at all.
absolutely not.
I mean,
Absolutely
granted,
not.
it can be seen as an escape because I
Sure,
mean, and a
it
lot of
is.
people we have a lot of stuff going on, so we're like, okay, we need to
Sure,
take our minds off of that and go put our energy in something else. And
absolutely,
sometimes gaming is just that outlet that we need sometimes.
absolutely.
And that was going to be my next question. When you think of how playing video games has changed your life, do you see it as a positive or a negative change?
I mean, that's a great question, right?
Hmm.
I think, like anything in moderation, um, so long as you're doing it in a healthy way, it can
Right.
be a positive thing. Again, in moderation. So, ensuring that, I mean, obviously we're living in a little bit of a different world right now with
Yeah.
the pandemic and everything else, and people are secluded to their homes and they want to have that connection to people,
Hmm.
which is another reason why I started streaming again.
Right.
Um, and to answer your question, whether it's a positive thing or a negative thing, gaming can bring people together. It can bring positive out, absolutely. However, if there's too much of that, it could also lead to, you know, a negative side where, now you're becoming antisocial. Now you're relying on this to escape from everything else instead of dealing
Hmm.
with things, right?
Right.
So for me personally, it's finding that balance. right?
Yeah.
So really having the balance between my real life, outside of gaming, but also maintaining that that friendship and that connection to my friends that I have online as well, right? So
Right.
it's balancing that, especially with family too.
Oh
It's
yeah.
a little bit more
It's a
challenging.
huge
So
thing.
two young kids, it can be challenging, and then wife on top of that, and um, she's needy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just totally kidding.
Shout out to her, by the way, man. Like
Yeah, she's a
yeah,
superstar.
she
She
sounds
is.
great. Yeah,
Yeah, she takes care of me. She makes sure I'm
fed.
healthy and stuff. So yeah, yeah. She does.
Make
She
sure you
does.
got your snacks when you're streaming.
Yeah, man. So she takes care of me. So, but yeah, like I said, with anything, gaming or not, in moderation can be
Yeah,
positive. However, it can go south real quick.
yeah.
So
And that's really the answer I was looking for. Like for me, I think it's been positive. I mean, I've been a gamer for most of my life, and I don't regret much of it. I don't have anything where I said, hey, maybe I should have done this differently, or maybe I shouldn't have played with this person. Like I've always known I've always known my limits when it
yeah,
comes to gaming. Like when I'm saying, okay, I played a little bit too much, can we dial it back and get back in real life and handle this stuff, and then whenever I have time, go back and game. But like you were saying, like you have some people that can game to escape from reality and then just
mhm,
get stuck.
yeah,
And then that's all they do. That's all they know.
yeah,
And
exactly.
then everything's going on in the background, but in their foreground, it's just video games, and that's all they know.
Yeah,
Then they're not doing anything productive with their time. Like they're just playing. They're not really talking to anyone. They're not socializing. They're not really being social at all.
yeah.
And that's when it can be, that's where the negatives can come in.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, like we're social people, right? Like I'm a very social person. So
Right.
like when like I work from home now for my regular day job, and not seeing my colleagues or my my team or anything like that, it's tough for me, right? Because
Right.
I like having that in-person interaction. So I think that was why when I went back to streaming and I got that kind of interaction with people, even though it was online, it kind of um, it filled that need to a point.
Yeah.
And then especially when I had some of my friends come back from way back when, namely
Mm-hmm.
Dome,
Right.
the Dome Trap,
Yes, sir.
but and we we had a couple other people come back, and it was great to see that after so long that that connection was still there, and it was a good feeling, right? So it
Right.
kind of like I said, it fulfilled that feeling of needing to be social.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that at all.
No.
I asked someone before the year started, I said, hey, uh, do you do New Year's resolutions? He was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, what's your New Year's resolution? And he was like, basically just to be more social. And he was
Mm.
just telling me that he's one of those people that kind of feeds off of other people's energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, dude, I totally agree.
Yeah.
Because sometimes without that energy, you just kind of just there. I mean,
Yeah.
and it can affect your thoughts at that point. So I do, more power to you. I hope that it happens. I hope that it happens for you. I hope that you find the people to be social with. And I told him, like I told you, I said, look, if there's anybody that you need to talk to, or if you're looking for anything, I'm here for you.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
I've never shaken your hand or met you in real life. Like I'm here. That's the least I can do for you.
Yeah, but we're making you an honorary Canadian, so you're coming
Oh
anyway, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. First name American, last name Canadian. And in the words of Drake, like a sprained ankle, boy, ain't nothing to play with.
Right?
Your fellow Canadian.
Fellow Canadian, man.
Right. But yeah, man, it's just crazy. And speaking of New Year's resolutions, did you have anything on your list?
Uh, I mean, I don't per se like set something in stone. Like I think about stuff that I want to change for the new year, and things that I'd like to accomplish.
Yeah.
Um, you know, whether that being more healthy eating, right, and that kind of thing. And
Right.
the wife and I are we're on a healthy kick right now, and especially because can't go to the gym, which is that I think
Yeah.
is what's really mostly affecting me because when I was off, when I took that hiatus and stuff like that, and had to deal with a lot of stuff in
Hmm.
2017. The thing that kind of got me back on track was going to the gym. right? Like that was a way for me to, like, kind of like relieve that stress that I had from my day to day, right? So,
Yeah.
being on that healthy kick, planning for, the year, and making sure that you focus on the positives rather than the negatives, right? So, um, I think planning is a definitely a good thing, and I think what a lot of people do is when they look at a New Year's resolution and they start that resolution, and when they don't deliver on it, it becomes a negative, right? So
Yeah.
rather
They just
than,
give up on it, or instead of trying to get back on that track.
yeah, exactly, right? So I feel
Hmm.
like if I plan something and then I want to execute it, you know, if I'm writing it in stone that I fail at it, then I'm kind of setting myself up for failure. So I'm not saying that don't set goals for yourself. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm
Right.
saying is if, let's say, you're planning on eating healthier. Okay, well, let's start small, right? Okay,
Hmm.
well, how can I adjust my eating to be healthier, right?
Yeah. It won't happen
So
overnight. You just kind of have to work with
exactly,
it.
exactly, right? So, there's when I would go to the gym, I would listen to a lot of motivational stuff. And one of the things that I listened to, and I still listen to regularly, is there's I think he's like an admiral or something for like SEAL team, and he talks about like make your bed,
Hmm.
and people would be like, well, what does making your bed make any difference in your life? And what he
Right.
said was, if you complete one task in the day, you've just completed your first task. You've made your bed, right? So even if you don't
Hmm.
accomplish anything else in that day, you've still completed at least making that bed. You get to come home to a nice made bed,
Right.
right? So thinking about that, and just being like in an age right now where we're secluded from everybody, and
Yeah.
it's an absolute hellhole. Mental health is a huge thing, right? So
Hmm.
my plan, I know it's a long-winded answer that I've given you, but my
No, it's
plan
fine.
for my like resolution or whatever is more just thinking about how I can just improve on what I'm at right now, not necessarily having a specific goal. So I
Yeah.
keep it kind of open so I can just build on it.
Right. There's always that one quote. Don't try to be better than anyone else. Try to be better than who you were yesterday.
Yeah,
And I
love
think
that quote.
that's one thing I'm trying to do this year. Like I think with this year, not this necessarily a resolution or anything, but I plan on being a little bit more aware.
Okay.
Because in the sense, I feel like I've kind of taken a step back over the past few years. I've just kind of let things happen and try to just stay in my own lane. I know I have people in my life and everything, but I feel like I just haven't been there for them like I could have been in the sense. Like I feel like I put my energy in other places. So I think this year and forward, we're going forward, I just plan on being there more, a little bit more than I have in the most recent years. I mean, life hits, of course, things happen,
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
and it can affect you in many ways. And, I was just thinking about it a few weeks ago, and I was just like, man, like compared to years prior, like I just haven't been present. Like I've just kind of been on autopilot in a way. Like we just kind of
Hmm.
let relationships play out the way that you know they would have if I wouldn't have even been there. So I think now I think it's a time where, along with improving my current friendships, I want to gain some new ones and build those up as well.
Absolutely. And one thing you have to be careful that, you know,
Hmm.
it's great wanting to put in more effort too. At the
Yeah,
same token, you can't be the only person putting in that effort, right? Like it has to
yeah,
be a 2 lane street instead of a 1 lane street, right? So,
right.
like all the power to you in putting in that effort, but you know, I don't want to see you get taken advantage of, sort of
Yeah,
thing,
and
right? Like,
that's the big thing. Like that's when I realized, okay, I need to stop saying yes to so many people because it
yeah,
got to the point where it was hurting me more than it was helping me.
yeah.
But I'm not the type to complain about that because that was my decision at the time.
Hmm.
But it was just weighing on me. I was just
Hmm.
had some people in my life, and I was just like, hey, this isn't good.
Yeah,
Like this isn't helping me. Great, it's helping you more than it's helping me. But like I said, I just didn't complain. I just did it.
yeah,
And I want to say maybe, yeah, about 2018 or so. I was just like, okay, I need to say no and just kind of distance myself from a lot of these people. And
yeah.
that's exactly what I did.
I feel you on that, brother. Like I did the exact same thing in 2017 when I was, when I was going through all that stuff. Like there were certain things that I wanted to accomplish. Like, um, I went to school in the last 2 years, and I just finished college in 2019.
Hmm.
Or sorry, 2020 rather, April of 2020, I finished.
Got it.
And, I finished that a 2 year program in a year and a half.
Oh yeah, that's
Um,
awesome.
yeah. And like, so I was going to school full time um, and working full time and had another
A
baby,
family at
right?
home.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, family at home. Like we had one kid and then like another one was, came in and, and we still handled it, right? Like, and I still maintained a 3.8 GPA out of 4,
Mhm.
right? So, being on Dean's List, I think is what they called it,
Yeah.
um, for that, and you know, looking at how you have to hold yourself, right? You want to hold yourself accountable, but if there's people that are kind of like holding you back, or you want to have the right people around you,
Yeah. In your corner.
in your corner, right? And you have to have the courage to, get the people that, um, you know, out of that circle
Right.
if they need to be, right? So making sure that you have the right people in your corner, but also making sure that the right people aren't in your corner,
Exactly.
or the wrong people are in the corner, I should say, rather.
Right.
But yeah, and that's exactly what I had to do in 2017, right? Like I had to make some decisions, and unfortunately, some of the friendships that I had ended,
Yeah.
right? And that's not because they're bad people.
Hmm.
It's more or less, it's not, I wasn't getting what I needed,
Right.
um, and I can understand that they just didn't have it in them to have that type of support. So, and that's fine, right? Like
Hmm.
there, we can still part ways as acquaintances, and no hard feelings. And I just I don't need
Right.
that sort of thing in my life, right? So, when you're at a point in your life where your friendships do matter, and the decisions that you make really impact your family and your friends, then you really have to be cognizant of that, right? So I'm glad that you were
Right.
able to kind of make that decision in 2018 for yourself,
Yeah,
and
man.
have that
Thank you.
kind of that realization that you got to take care of you, but you also have to make sure that you have the right people around you.
Yeah. 100%, man. And I mean, like you said, it's not because of them. It's also really a timing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can have so much going on, and then these people just aren't really doing enough for you, or you just don't
Mm-hmm.
see them as doing enough for you, and you just kind of have to get those squares out of your circle.
Yeah, absolutely,
whether
man.
it's forever or for a short period of time.
Yep.
I mean, it's just a decision that just has to be made.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely, I agree.
Right. 100%. But to get back on gaming, I know we have a Warzone discussion to get to, or should I
Oh, okay.
say DM Warzone?
Not so much anymore, but
Yeah, but man, the last, what was that? Maybe 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks of playing Warzone have
Mhm.
just been tough, to say the least, for people that don't use the DMR.
Fair, yeah. Or if you're
Like,
not on keyboard and mouse,
yeah, or using dual DMIs or the Mag 10.
yeah.
It's been a tough game because, like I was telling you before, it's just such a curve. Like up here, you have the DMR, you have the DMID pistols, and you have the Mag 10.
Hmm.
And then down here, you have like the Kilo and the M4, and everything else kind of falls in place. And I was talking to one of my buddies about that. I was like, every time there's a new update, most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, the weapons that are brought over or the new weapons are just insanely OP.
Well, I mean, but that's more or less a marketing scheme, right?
Yeah.
When you think about it, like of course
Mm-hmm.
we all know that it's going to happen. Like what happens every time a new gun comes out in the battle pass, right?
Right.
They want people to buy that battle pass and pay for the whole dang thing.
Yeah. And not only
And
that, but they'll put the gun in the store.
exactly.
And you'll see the gun in the store, see a lot of people using that variation of that weapon and say, oh, let me spend $25 on this weapon. Maybe to make
Yeah.
me a better player.
Yeah,
So
absolutely,
and,
right?
and it's Activision, and we know that Activision is a super greedy company.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I can't deny it by saying that they make some really good games.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, right? I mean, like if you look at any other battle royale that has come out since or even before Activision did Warzone. I mean, like Activision completely
They
destroyed.
changed the game.
They
Yeah.
changed
I
the way
mean,
that we look at battle royale.
PUBG was out. I played PUBG and I didn't really care for it. Fortnite was out. Played Fortnite. I was just kind of like, okay, this is not for me really. But then Warzone came out, and I was like, maybe I'll
Yeah,
like. Well, first before Warzone, it was Blackout with Black Ops 4,
yeah.
and even I played that, and I'm like, okay, I don't really care for this.
Yeah, I didn't like
Like,
Blackout at all, to be honest.
I was just like, okay, let's just get back to regular Black Ops 3 type multiplayer. And then,
Yeah,
of course, we had the stinker, which was World War II, and I was just like, okay, yeah, this isn't gonna work. So then
yeah,
when they put out Modern Warfare, I was like, okay, cool, we're getting a reboot. What can they do to kind of reinvent the wheel?
mm,
Because I mean, the first Modern Warfare back in '07 was a reinvention of the wheel. Like we had
yeah.
first person shooters, but nothing as immersive as Modern Warfare.
No,
Like playing that story mode and then playing the online and the
yeah,
multiplayer, it was a
yeah,
brand. It was we'd never seen anything like that before.
yeah,
So with this game, I'm like, okay, they have to do something new. So when they announced Warzone, I'm like, okay, is this just going to be Blackout with different weapons in a different area?
yeah,
And it wasn't.
yeah.
Like when
No,
Warzone first came out, we had what like the M4A1.
yeah,
There
that was meta.
was the Uzi. There was a few other weapons. They maybe only had maybe 10 or 12 weapons in the game at first
Yeah,
because that's when it was still in beta, as they called it. I think it's still in
it's
beta, but hey,
let, let's be real, it's still in beta.
yeah, we are still in beta. Over a year later,
Nobody,
we're still in beta.
yeah, they haven't changed anything.
Right. But they just had these bare bones weapons. I remember winning my first game. I think it was maybe my fifth game playing. And the way I won it, I felt so bad, but I got the dub. So I just kind of kept it. I was by myself against a team of three because there was only trios.
Yeah,
So I was holed up in this house. It was a random circle. It was a random house. I don't know if it was in farmland or where, but I was just sitting there and I heard the team outside. And I was playing with Pruitt, matter of fact. And he goes, "Hey, I hear them outside." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. So shut up." So I hear all these footsteps, and it's just me in this room on this bed with a Semtex and an MP5.
Domo is a
So
big dick camper.
I had to be. So I just sit there and I'm like, okay, here they come. I hear the door bust open. So I immediately hit RB, toss one grenade, stick the first guy. Another guy runs in after him. The Semtex blows up, kills, well, downs them two. The other guy jumps when he runs in, and I jump off the bed with the MP5, just like spraying and praying. Kill him.
Yeah,
That was my first win.
dang, dang,
So I was
dude.
like, yeah, let me record this one while it's still early. I think I still have it recorded somewhere, but yeah. And then I mean, from then on, like the game just kind of got better. They added more weapons. We now have solos, duos, trios, and quads now, and we have
Yeah,
rebirth. And even though I think the regular mini royale is better, but to each his own, I guess.
yeah. The thing is like for me, the regular Warzone, I feel like when I get a dub or whatever, I feel way more of an accomplishment
Mm-hmm.
in that one than I do with the rebirth. Like I have pretty close to like I think like 45 wins in regular Warzone,
Mm-hmm.
which isn't all that much. I go for high kill games. I don't really care about winning,
More than what I
right?
have.
Like I just care about like I just want to slay all the time, right?
Yeah.
And like since rebirth has come out, like I probably have like 20 wins, and it's only been out for
Yeah,
you know
maybe about 3 or 4 weeks, I
yeah,
think.
like that one night we got like 4 or 5 wins back to back. Like
Yeah.
it was crazy, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a lot easier to get the wins, I find, because it's not so much about positioning and all that. It's
Right.
more or less,
It's a little bit
who
less
can.
sweaty than regular
Yeah,
Warzone
yeah,
is.
yeah, absolutely. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see where they take it.
Mm-hmm.
I think with the new changes that they've done, they've kind of balanced things for the time being until somebody else figures out the next, meta weapon, and then people will abuse that. You know,
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to
um,
happen too.
yeah, it's probably going to be the street sweeper. So that's what I'm
Yeah,
thinking.
it's definitely going to be that one. I mean, seeing what it does now, I mean,
Yeah,
just imagine what it's going to do if they patch all the other weapons and then that one just kind of gets swept under the rug.
yeah, yeah.
And then instead of the
So
DMR, Mag 10, and Diamondage, we're going to have the Street Sweeper. Then maybe some of those will get dropped lower, but you get
yeah,
what
I'm
I'm saying.
thinking it's probably going to be the FFAR with the street sweeper.
Yeah, the FFAR with an extended mag is a little nutty.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was
So
telling people, I'm like, that gun reminds me so much of the FAMAS,
yeah,
but from Black Ops One. But even though I think the FAMAS from Black Ops One was a different beast,
yeah,
just because it was just super accurate, and then it shot fast and had it actually had good damage.
yeah,
So I was just telling my buddy, I was like, the FFAR reminds me of that. It's just a little bit more bouncy, and it even shoots faster because you only have 25 rounds to work with.
yeah, yeah.
All right, we are back after a small recess. I had some family duties to take care of, but
Yeah.
we are back. So we were on Warzone. I think you were telling me about when you first started playing it.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I started with PUBG, I absolutely loved PUBG. The issue with PUBG was they were too late to the game to fix all the issues that they had with the game, and that's why they didn't become as big as they could have been. Uh,
Right.
I I barely touched Fortnite, and for the simple fact that I don't believe that you should be able to build a giant skyscraping building out of
If
thin air.
if I'm
Like it's
shooting
the
at you,
most ridiculous idea
if
I've
if
ever.
if I'm
It,
shooting at you and you build a mansion in front of my face, I'm turning around and running.
right? Like it
That's
literally
all I
makes
can do.
yeah, it makes no sense
Yeah,
logistically. Like
it's
it's just silly
and
if
then
if
I
you
mean you
ask
got
me.
these kids that are just so good at it, man. Like they just you shoot one time at them and they're just building an apartment complex in front of you.
Yeah,
And
like
you're
I
like, what am I
don't.
supposed to do against this?
Yeah, like it's just silly
Right.
is what it is.
And
Like
then he's
and
sitting on top of you with a freaking sniper rifle. What am I
yeah,
supposed to do there?
yeah, no, it's that's no thanks, right? And
Yeah.
then Apex came out. I played that for a wee bit. I like
Hmm.
that. I like
Yeah.
the idea of it. It was kind of like a cross pollination of Call of Duty and PUBG.
Hmm.
So I did rather like that. Especially with the the special abilities and all that kind of stuff. It was
Yeah.
something that
It
nobody
definitely
had ever
mixes
seen.
things up.
Yeah, I didn't care for Blackout at all.
Yeah. That was
I think I played it once or twice, and I was like, I can't do this.
yeah.
Um, the and
I
then
barely even
Warzone.
played Black Ops 4 in general.
Yeah,
I was just
I
bored with that game. And by the time they started adding all these older maps, I was like, yeah, this is cool, but
yeah
it's not enough to bring me back into the game.
yeah. I can't I don't remember how much I played Black Ops 4. I think I played it a wee bit, but not too much. But
Right.
and then Warzone came out. I remember starting playing Call of Duty, like when it first came out with the duos and all that kind of stuff. And
Hmm.
I was like, man, this is the hit markers on this game are clean. Like everything is like super clean. And then Warzone came out, and it was just like introducing crack to a crackhead, right?
Hmm.
Like, uh, I mean, you just you just immerse yourself in it, and
Right.
it's it's probably one of the best games that I've played. I can't say it's the best game I've played because Halo
No.
will always hold a special place in my heart for that.
Yeah.
But it's funny too. Like people forget that these companies that have come out with these games aren't the first people that did battle royale.
No, not at all.
It was
Not at all.
Battlefield that did the first battle royale, or similar to battle royale. Like you would
Yeah.
have teams; it would be mass teams. It'd be like 50 versus 50.
Hmm.
So in a sense, it's kind of like battle royale, but not the same way, right? You're not picking
Right.
up guns off the ground and stuff like that, and running in a squad of 2, 3, or 4, or by yourself or whatever, right? So,
Hmm.
but I would say that Battlefield, I think it was 3, was the one that kind of started that whole coining of the battle royale type
Yeah.
genre. So, but man, I say I still say like Warzone. I'm still excited to see where they go with it. I've heard that ranked is coming,
Yeah.
so I
I've
don't know
heard
if you've
ranked.
heard
I've
of that.
heard a new area soon.
Mm,
I heard rumors of that. I also seen a post today where they're reloading season one, and they're going to be putting in new maps. We're actually getting the express map from Black Ops 2. I don't know if you remember that
okay.
one, but it was like a train station. So they'll be
Mm,
putting that in Cold War, and I think there's a new operator and a few other things. I think a new zombies mode or map or whatever.
yeah. I you know what? I haven't even
Pretty
played the
exciting stuff.
zombies for Black Ops. So I haven't touched it.
Yeah. I played it
So
one day and I was like, this is fun, but
I feel like
it's
it's getting old.
more of you go in and you get out
Yeah, I
until
feel like
they
it
add
gets
more
old
modes.
quick.
Yeah. It's not
Yeah.
like the ones from Black Ops 3 where there's a huge story and you have to figure these things out to get actually to actually get finished with it. I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
this one does have some corny Easter eggs with it too, so I think those were kind of cool to find. But other than that, it was just kind of it was a good start. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It's not like a keynote they're toting or anything, but it does what it does well.
Yeah, I want them to bring back the night mode for Warzone, man. I
Warzone,
love
yeah,
that.
they should
That
definitely have a
was
different playlist for that.
yeah, that was low key. Like I love that, man.
Same
Like
with Zombie Royale. Like, I feel like that stuff was
yeah,
a lot of fun.
yeah, that was a lot of fun, right? Like you come back
Yeah,
in, like you get lots of skill. Yeah, I
yeah,
thought it was a
going
lot of
to the
fun.
prison and seeing ghosts and the cells and everything, and hands coming out of the ground. It was kind of cool.
Yeah. Can
I
I
liked
just
it.
say though, please don't put the scare boxes back in, please. I don't really
Please
feel like
do
shitting my no.
put more.
Because you know what? No, because you know what? Because you know what's gonna happen. It'll happen like it did last time. I was streaming and I was nearly shit my pants.
Oh, that was
Oh
hilarious,
my
man.
god,
Because I was
dude!
just
I was
watching and I'm like, he's gonna get got. So eventually, because I knew it was like,
man, it
because I asked you, I
wasn't
was like, you should
funny.
play something scary. You're like, dude, I hate scary games.
Yeah, man, I can't do scary
And
stuff.
then,
I'm a little
like the
girl. Like when it
next
comes to
day, you were
that.
streaming and then you opened that one box
I
and you're just like,
I
oh
must have
god.
jumped 10. I must have jumped 10 feet in my chair.
And then you just stopped. Like you just took your
Yeah,
hands up.
I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I can't do this no more. Okay.
That was hilarious. Man, I love those boxes.
No,
That was
I
great.
would strongly disagree.
Right.
Strongly disagree.
Yeah. And I was gonna
But
talk about what we talked about the other day, where keyboard and mouse has certain advantages that console players don't,
mhm.
and then vice versa.
Yeah. So as you know, I started playing on console.
Right.
Uh, so I used the so I started playing Warzone actually on PlayStation 4, my PlayStation 4 Pro that I had,
Mm-hmm.
and I was using at the time when I first got my PlayStation 4 Pro because I don't like the PlayStation controllers.
Right.
I don't like how the thumbsticks are like in the center of the controller.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like I have fairly big hands, like I'm 6'1", so
Right. So the
like I have
Xbox controller is more of your speed.
exactly right. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit of a larger controller. It's a little bit more ergonomic for me.
Yeah. The
Um,
thumbstick layout makes sense.
yeah, right. And like I said, I have big hands, so when I would use the regular PlayStation controller, and if I've got both of those sticks pointed together, my thumbs touch.
Yeah.
Right, so like that's not comfortable, especially if you're doing like key movements,
Mm-hmm.
and that happens.
That
Like
that
you're
stuff matters.
exactly right.
It matters.
So what I did was I purchased uh, the Cronus Max so
Mm-hmm.
I could use my Xbox controller. Now, I disclaimer here, I only used it for the controller. I did not add anything else in.
Got it.
Let me make that very clear. Right? I would not.
Yeah.
I'm so against cheating. It's not even funny because
Yeah.
it's just unfair. And like I'm the type of person I want to prove how good I am based off my skill.
Mm-hmm.
Period. So yeah, so I for the first little while I did purchase the Cronus Max because it's only $30
Yeah.
versus me spending $200 on a controller
Yeah.
for the Scuff Vantage 2. Now
Mm-hmm.
I did end up purchasing the Scuff Vantage 2 a couple months after. So and I will say I don't really care for Scuff's thumbsticks because they wear out super quick, but
Mm-hmm. I've
that's a
heard
whole
that.
other discussion. Yeah. So so yeah, starting out with the controller, using the elite style controller where you've got the extra paddles, it definitely gives you a leg up on a traditional controller, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But still not quite where it would be in terms of precision against a keyboard and mouse.
Right.
So then I kind of went. I felt like my PlayStation was starting to die, so I went back to my Xbox Series X, or
Yeah.
sorry, Xbox One X rather, I
One
should say.
X. Yeah.
Yeah, One X. Because and it started to run a little bit better. I got a little bit better FPS. This is when I started to kind of get a little bit more serious into playing Warzone. And then I started watching a friend of mine on Twitch, and
That
he
Viking.
Viking, yeah.
Yeah.
So he introduced me to keyboard and mouse. Now I had played Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 on PC
Mm-hmm.
way back when. and then I switched to, but I hadn't played any other shooter game since then
Right.
on PC. I would exclusively on console, right? So
Mhm.
purchased a new PC, sold my all my consoles, and went with keyboard and mouse. And what I would say is, in terms of precision,
Mhm.
um, depending on the person, you can be just as accurate on a controller as a keyboard and mouse, depending on the
Mhm.
person. But I find the precision is a little bit easier on keyboard and
Yeah,
mouse.
it's much easier to fine tune using your hand rather than using a
Yeah,
thumb.
yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
now, where I would say there may be a little bit of difference, and this is my own personal opinion.
Mhm.
For me personally, I found that my movement was far superior on controller
Yeah.
than what it was. Now, I would say I'm probably par now because I've been using
Yeah,
keyboard and
you're
mouse
skilled at
for,
this point.
yeah. So I would
It's
say
been a
like
few
I'm,
several months now.
yeah. So it's been what, 4 or 5 months since I've
Right.
switched, right? So um, where I take issue, getting into like Warzone and stuff like that, and all of these different avenues people can take with their controller and all this stuff.
Mhm.
Um, People say that using the strike pack is hacking. In one light, I would say yes, it is. However, in another light, I would say no, it's not.
Right.
So the way that I differentiate, and we've had quite a few conversations about how it is, or our opinions on it.
Mhm.
Um, I'm okay with having people having the added aim assist.
Right.
However, I like as soon as you start adding in, anti recoil, auto lock targeting, like all of these other mods that this strike pack can offer. Um, that's where I draw the line,
Right.
right? If you want to have the added aim assist, sure, right? Because you know
Mhm.
what, I have as a PC player and using a controller, or sorry, a keyboard and mouse, I
Yeah.
have an advantage in terms of aiming because it's a
Mhm.
little bit easier for me to aim. However, I still have to deal with recoil,
Right.
right? Now, people will argue and say that, okay, well, the recoil patterns for PC or keyboard and mouse more specifically are different than those of people that are using a controller.
Mhm.
I've used both. They both have relatively the same recoil. It's just a different frame of mind. It's just a different use. You're using a, a thumbstick rather than a mouse,
Right.
right? So that's really the only difference. I haven't noticed any difference in terms of the recoil pattern. I'm sure
Yeah.
if you hold the trigger down without trying to adjust for recoil, the pattern will be the exact same,
Mhm.
right? So saying that it is or it isn't, I mean, that's a matter of opinion, I guess. But in my
Right.
opinion, I don't think there is any difference. But like I said, when it comes to keyboard versus mouse, and this is why, like, if earlier on we were talking about the DMR and DMR zone, right?
Mhm.
So I feel like, yes, in one hand, the DMR, it was a very powerful gun and overpowered,
Yeah.
right? However, is it really? Or is it
Um,
more showing the shortcomings of a controller versus PC?
I want to say both because you have weapons like the FAL, which it's a similar weapon. I mean, it's an AR granted, but it's a semi-automatic weapon that does pretty decent damage.
Yeah,
I feel like the FAL does way more damage in multiplayer rather than Warzone.
sure. Well, it's because it got a nerf.
Exactly.
Because you remember when the FAL first came out,
Yeah,
it was
that
broken
was
as
all
shit.
a lot of people were using.
Like, exactly, right? And that
Yeah,
had like a 3 shot burst,
right. So
right?
now
You didn't even
is
have to double press,
yeah,
or like it
it was
was
it
just,
was a
you
burst. You
press
could
once,
change
3 shots, and
it.
he's dead,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So like it took all of the guesswork out of everything. You didn't have to
Hmm.
double tap. You didn't have to, click like as fast as you could to get those shots out. Like you didn't
Right.
need to do any of that. You click that once and pretty much it's a down,
And
right?
it's
And
because they basically reworked the entire weapon. Like they
yeah,
made the damage lower. They decreased headshot damage. They gave it more recoil. They
yeah.
basically put the gun in the dirt.
Well, you know what? It's funny. Like actually, I used it the other day in a plunder match just to kind of see,
Hmm.
and it's actually not that bad,
Right. But
right?
it was
Like,
way better.
oh yeah,
Yeah, it was
absolutely,
it
right?
was a different gun before. And
Oh
I
yeah,
think
absolutely.
that's the same thing they're going to do to the DMR.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've
The
already
DMR
started.
is definitely going to get the FAL treatment. It's still great right now, but
Well, they
I
nerfed it
give it,
yesterday. I don't know if you
yeah,
knew that.
yeah,
Yeah, so they nerfed it yesterday. So I used it yesterday.
but it's still pretty
It's
good, right?
still it's um I would say it's balanced.
Oh, you think that's all they need to do to it?
I don't think they need to go any further with it
Okay.
because now you can contend, and that's here's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
This gun takes way more for you to be accurate with it,
Right.
right? Like because you're for one trigger press, you're getting one bullet,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you have to be accurate. So in
Yeah,
my
you have to think about
opinion,
that next shot and how much further you need to be from your target at certain ranges. It's a lot that goes into
exactly,
shooting the DMR. It's not
exactly,
just let me
right?
just aim it and spray this person. It's a lot
Exactly.
more.
So
It's a lot more to it.
that's why it should have high damage,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you look at like an AR where you're just spraying, well, I
Mm-hmm.
don't really have to worry about, yes, you have to worry about aiming,
Right.
but at the same token, you can have a little bit of room for error
Mm-hmm.
because you've got like 30 bullets in the air by
Right.
the time I've got three,
Exactly.
right? So it's a give and take. And this is where the problem is because this is where it's showing
Mm-hmm.
the difference between having a controller and a keyboard and mouse, right? Because keyboard and
Mm-hmm.
mouse, I can be on target instantly. Because so I don't know if you know this, but controller auto aim or their aim assist, when you ADS down sight,
Yeah, it
when you
focuses
aim
on the
down sight,
body.
it focuses on the body
But with
exactly.
keyboard and
Where
mouse, you get well, you have a little bit more time than controller players do, but you can get your headshots in
well, but the
way quicker
thing,
than I would be
my
able to.
we don't as a keyboard and mouse, you don't have aim assist. There is no aim
Right.
assist.
Right. So
It's
as long
that's
as you
all
know
you.
where you're looking, you're all set.
Exactly. So when
You're
I
all set.
ADS, if I'm on your head and I ADS, it's on your head.
Yeah,
So
it's
all I
gonna
have to
hit
do
you.
is pull the trigger,
And that's what
right?
I find
So
funny is like you can tell the snappiness of the person's movements when you're shooting at them. Like you can
yeah,
tell if you're shooting at a controller player or a keyboard and mouse player.
yeah,
Just
yeah,
because sometimes
absolutely.
if you're shooting at someone and this person turns around and looks dead at your face and then shoots you one time, you know that that's a keyboard player.
yeah, yeah. If you die
Yeah,
within 0.25 of a second, you're dead. that,
exactly.
that you're playing against keyboard mouse, right?
Right, and
So
that's why you have so many players that are just like, okay, let me turn crossplay off because I feel like I'm at a disadvantage.
yeah, and well, I mean, the only people that can actually do that is PS4.
Yeah,
Xbox, you
Xbox
can't
can
turn it
too.
off.
Yeah, we can.
Oh, oh, you can now because
Yep.
before you couldn't.
Yeah, we can disable crossplay now. So.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So but yeah, like, and that's the thing. For me, I
Mm-hmm.
was all for cross-platform play. However, however, not against keyboard and mouse.
Right.
Like, if you want to do cross-platform play between consoles, by all means,
Go ahead and
because
do it.
you're doing like for like. Now, if you want to do cross-platform between consoles, then make it keyboard and mouse versus keyboard and mouse on PC
Right.
because you can see the inputs,
Mm-hmm.
right?
That's true.
So if you're seeing the input, then it shouldn't be a problem to do the coding for it. So if they want to do that and you want to have keyboard and mouse on console and keyboard and mouse on computer, by all means, and vice versa, keyboard and mouse, or sorry, computer players using controllers, sticking with going against people that are using controllers on console,
Right.
right? So um, I, that's the way I feel it should have been done. Whether that's right or not is another story. But
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Activision is going to Activision at the end of the day. So
yeah,
all we can hope is that they make the game more balanced and more fun. That's it.
yeah, yeah,
Give
absolutely,
give everyone a
absolutely.
fair chance. There's no reason why I should slide into someone and I have a Krieg 6 and I'm getting 3 headshots off and they shoot me 2 times with a DMR and then that's it.
Yeah, yeah. Now it's
It's
three
just
times. Just so you
right.
know.
But still, I'm pretty sure I can get those 3 out more than I can get this Krieg 6 out. So
Right. So
it's getting there.
yeah,
That's
it
it.
is. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's enough of Warzone talk. It's giving me a headache just thinking about it.
Yeah, right.
But
Yeah. Geez.
man, staying on the subject of gaming though, are there any games that you're looking forward to playing?
Hmm. Not really.
And that's sad to
Um.
say, isn't it?
Yeah. Honestly, like, right now I'm dialed in on Warzone and really growing there. And
Mm-hmm.
um, I mean, if any game, it would probably be the next God of War, which is supposed to be Valhalla or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
But I'll have to get myself a PS5 for that. So whether the wife or not will let me get that is another story.
Right.
But yeah, that would probably be the only game that I would be interested in purchasing at this point in time.
Right. It's just it's really hard to get hyped for games at this point.
Mm,
Because I mean, you have someone like me. I was really looking forward to the Avengers game that came out back in September,
yeah,
and I played it. Then I was like, okay, where's the rest of the game at?
yeah,
Then people were upset and they were going to the companies, and the company was like, hey, well, Crystal Dynamics was like, hey, we got more coming. Well, okay, when? Soon. Okay, well, I'm just gonna stop playing this game and go play something else.
yeah. And and
And then
and there's something that's very important in that what you were just talking about.
yeah, that
The fact
customer
that
and consumer relationship is one of it.
yeah, yeah, that, but also the fact that when you look at uh I mean, you and I both remember what it was like to purchase a game when it was complete,
Yeah,
right?
just buying the
So,
disc or the cartridge and saying, okay,
and
this is the package.
this is the game. It had to be done. It had to be bug proof. It had to be done
Mm-hmm.
by the time that this, by the time it launched,
Right.
right? Whereas with the the current status of things, people that now we pre-order games. So now companies are getting our money before the game has even been announced or launched for like a launch date, right? So now they've got their money,
Yeah,
and when
that's it.
they and then the game comes out, and how many times has a game come out and day one there's a massive like 20 gig patch?
Every single time a new game is released. If it's not
Exactly,
an
right?
indie game, if it's a big AAA game, it's gonna have a day one patch.
Yeah, absolutely, right?
And that's just hinders the experience because you get the
Yeah,
game, you have to install the game, then you have to wait another hour or so for a 28, 29 gigabyte patch.
yeah, yeah,
And it's just saying, okay, bug fixes. Well, why are there bugs on a game that was just released?
exactly,
Why?
exactly,
So
right?
we're basically on top of that. You're gonna give us DLC in 3 or 4 months, so we're paying for 40% of a game already, just to
Exactly.
have to pay more for the extra 60% of the game.
That's exactly it, right?
And I
And
think it's hilarious how these companies can just keep getting over on us, and we just have to be okay with it at times.
well,
For
that's
example, with a lot of
it's
these fighting games, we're paying $60 for 20 characters just for them to say, hey, we're gonna release 18 more characters, but you have to pay $25 for each character pass this we're going to release over the next 3 or 4 years.
yeah.
So look,
Well, it's
you do the
just they're
math.
squeezing every little bit of money that they can out of that game, right? So
Right. So it's like, okay, I'm going to end up spending $150 on this game to play all the characters on time versus someone who's going to play the game late and just have to pay $38 on a Christmas sale.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
where they get us consumers that. That's the gotcha with video gaming.
right. That's
Yeah,
like an IQ 900 moment right there.
exactly. And I mean, it's the same thing with Cyberpunk too. Like, um, Cyberpunk came out with no beta. They were well, they said, okay, we're not going to delay the game anymore because we've already delayed it 3 times in the past year.
Yeah,
So they give people review copies, but say, hey, don't use your footage, use our pre-rendered footage already that we already have for the game. So we have these review companies saying, hey, this game is a 9 out of 10, it's an 8 out of 10, it's a great game, there's no issues with it besides from the occasional bugs, but not even saying, hey, this is the PC version
yeah,
on ultra max settings.
yeah,
So
yeah,
then when people actually get their hands on the game, and I mean, even back to the reviews, GameSpot put out a review and they gave it a 7 out of 10, with the reviewer saying, yeah, this game is really, really buggy and it takes you out of the world.
yeah,
And people were like, oh no, it's not that bad without even playing the game. So then now we have it's 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 January 14th, and I can't tell you when the last time I played the game. I can't tell you when
yeah,
was the last time I played the game, just because I mean I would play it. I would have to force myself to play it at times. And I'm like, dude, this is not fun. I'd rather
yeah,
just go play something else.
yeah,
And I mean, I understand that the company's getting hate, but that's because the same company put out a masterpiece, which was the Witcher 3 some years back. I love that game.
Yeah.
And that game was like, I was like, I don't know about this game. I'm not really a big fan of these type of games. But when I played it, I was like, yeah, okay, I love this. And I have to
Yeah.
see it all the way through. So played Witcher 3 and I loved it. But this game, you have this company who has this high regard as one of the best developers in the world. They put out Cyberpunk that is super buggy,
Oh,
has a lot
shit
of
the bed.
gameplay issues, and all this other stuff on top of it.
Yeah.
Even
Well,
then,
wasn't it removed from PlayStation's Play Store?
yeah, they removed it,
Yeah.
and they let everyone get their refunds back just because they were just like, hey, this game was designed to run on the Xbox One and PlayStation 4,
Mm-hmm.
but the game barely runs on the PS5 and Xbox Series X, these next gen consoles. And I'm still having, like I told you, I have a Series X now, and I was playing it on there. And I remember during one very important mission, I got into a vehicle and my arms were stuck out of the car like this. And my guy puts his seatbelt on, and his arm goes around the other side of the car. He puts his seatbelt on, and then my arm like glitches right back outside of the car. And I'm like, dude, this is not fun. And I'm not gonna go back to my old save just to watch this cutscene the way it's supposed to be, the way it's supposed to be played. And then there's another time where you can ping your area to see enemies through walls.
Mm-hmm.
And I ping this area, and there's maybe 20 people in front of me, and they're all T posing. I'm like, dude, this is not good. This is not
Jeez.
good. Like the story is there. The
Yeah.
story, the voice acting, the music is there.
Yeah.
When it comes to things like the shooting, the fighting, and the just overall presentation, it sucks.
Yeah.
And that sucks to say because I was like, okay, I got this new console. I'm ready to see what they're gonna do with this newfound power that these companies have now.
Yeah.
And I played that, and I'm like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah.
So it's a sad moment when it comes to Cyberpunk, and they actually put out a video yesterday, and they just said, hey, we're going to put out a patch within 10 days, and then we're going to put out another patch in a few weeks or so, and then we're going to put out the next gen patch in the second half of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to get my refund and then play the game in 5 or 6 months whenever it's ready to
Oh
be
yeah.
played.
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste my time now and play an unfinished game and just be unsatisfied with it.
No.
I'd rather just
No.
wait until the finished product is here and then enjoy it then.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. There was like Master Chief Collection.
Yeah,
If you remember that debacle.
that was terrible at first.
Mm.
It was such a bad situation. Just the online, the net code on that game was just bad. And
Well, that's what happens when you have 4 companies doing different netcode.
right, and I mean now it's one of the best games on the Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
It took some time, and it's the same way with No Man's Sky. I don't know if you remember that game, but the guy went on like TV and he was like, "Yeah, this game is you can go to any planet and meet all these different players and do all this different stuff." And when the game came out, it was nothing like what he was saying.
Yeah.
So people got the refund back from that game now, then, but now it's a totally different game. You can actually do the stuff that he mentioned, like you can actually meet up with
Yeah.
different players and go to different planets and stuff. But it took 3 or 4 years to get done.
Yeah.
So like, okay, you're announcing these games, giving us a date, and putting them out in unreleased dates. Like it's
Yeah.
not fair for the consumer anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's because we're paying all that money, and well, they've got
Exactly.
our money now, right? So
Right.
I'm
And
100 against pre-ordering. I never pre-order
yeah, and
ever.
it's not so much the developers, it's really just the guys that are up high that are pushing these developers to put these games out.
Yeah.
Saying, okay, you work overtime and so we can get this game out in March.
Yeah.
But then that's just not enough sometimes. You need a little bit more time to put the icing on the cake.
Yep. Absolutely. Yep.
I mean, as far as games coming out, I'm still pretty excited for Halo Infinite. I was not impressed when I saw the video when they announced the Series X.
Yeah.
I think it looked like crap. It didn't look like a next gen game at all.
No, it did not.
I'm so glad that they knew what we thought and just said, "Hey, we're just gonna delay the game and work on it further." I'm so
Yeah.
glad they're doing that.
Yeah. I want them to release it with multiplayer though. If they don't release it with multiplayer,
Yeah.
as far
Well,
as I'm
they said they're
concerned,
not
don't
going to
release the
have
game.
a battle royale, so I think that's good. Keep
Mhm.
keep Halo where Halo needs to
Halo.
be. Yeah,
Mhm.
make Halo
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I hated Halo 5, man.
What?
I hated
Really?
it,
I
dude.
played that so much. I loved it.
Man, I played the story mode. Me and Pruitt, we sat down. in the evening, played the story mode, and beat it that same night.
Wow.
And then went to the multiplayer, and we were just like, okay, this sucked. You have to pay for packs.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather work and play the multiplayer to get new skins. I don't want to pay for new skins.
Yeah.
But
Well, I just played and you get because you can earn the points, right? So
yeah,
like I'm like a level 100 in that game. Like I played the shit
mm,
out of that game.
yeah,
So I rather enjoyed Halo 5 personally, but I know
yeah.
a lot of people didn't like it.
It just didn't feel right. I mean, I
Mm.
liked some of the new modes, but other than that, I'm just like, okay, give me back my TD and my
Yeah.
capture the flag.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm also looking forward to Resident Evil 8. And I know you don't like scary games or anything,
Nope.
but
You
I,
lost
I
me.
love Resident Evil 7. I didn't care for 6. 5 was the breaking point for me.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, at the end, a guy punches a boulder at a volcano. And I'm like, what's scary about this?
Yeah.
This game was about running around a mansion fighting zombies, but now you're punching a boulder. Nah, I'm out. But 7 brought it back, but they did it in first person instead of third person. And you go around this mansion, and it's not necessarily zombies, but zombie-like creatures. So I'm like, okay,
Right.
yeah, I love this. And the story is good too, and the DLC was also good with Resident Evil 7. So I'm hoping that they can continue that with Resident Evil 8 and just make it a little bit more scarier.
Yeah.
Then that's right in my alley. Then,
I got nothing on that one, bud, because
right,
it's a scary game. You
yeah.
lost me.
But then I'm also excited for a Far Cry 6. Now, I don't know how you feel about the Far Cry games.
I haven't played any of the Far Cry games.
Mm,
For the most part, the only games that I really stick to are shooter games. I know
right.
Far Cry is kind of a shooter game,
Mm,
but it's more story mode, right? Like, so
yeah.
for me, I'm a multiplayer FPS player, like, because
Right.
like I like testing my skills against the next person, right? So that's kind of
Yeah.
like I haven't really played any type of story type game. Like even if you look at Call of Duty, I haven't even finished the story for that,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
I've
I'm
literally
big
been
on. I'm huge on like first player games and story type games, but like I also love my multiplayer. But
yeah.
with the Far Cry games, I love them just specifically is because they throw you in this location and they're like, oh, you see this area, you can just go there.
Hmm.
You might get killed on the way 30 times, but you can
Yeah,
go.
but you can
Yeah.
go.
Or you can play the story how we intend you to play the story. And I
Yeah.
think it's hilarious because I think Far Cry 4, there's the first mission. Like the first thing they want you to do is press X to stand up after
Hmm.
one character leaves you at the table. You can choose to stay at the table, wait for that character to come back, and then the game finishes. Or you can stand up and play the game the way that the game is meant to be played. And I think that's
Yeah.
hilarious how they're like, okay, let's see who actually sits down at
Plays through
this
the
table
game.
for 1 minute to see what
Yeah.
happens. But they did the same thing with Far Cry 5, but it wasn't as good, but it was kind of cool the first time around. But
Yeah.
yeah, second time you just can't be impressed. But with this new game, they did announce that the main villain is going to be Giancarlo Esposito. Now you watched The Mandalorian, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, Moff Gideon is going to be the
The
villain
main
in Far
villain.
Cry 6.
Oh,
So
that's
I'm
pretty
pretty
sick.
excited for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I think the thing I need right now is a new fighting game.
Ooh, new
I, I,
fighting
I need a
game.
new fighting game to take the world by storm. Like I
Yeah.
love him. I love Mortal Kombat 11. I think it's a wonderful game. It's just it's not Mortal Kombat 10 to me.
Yeah, I loved Mortal Kombat
It's
10.
it's so much slower. You can't do as many crazy combos as you could in Mortal Kombat 10.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 11 just doesn't have that character for me.
Nah.
Like Mortal Kombat 10, I had maybe 15 characters I was good with.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 11 is maybe 5 or 6. It just doesn't have
Yeah.
that thing that keeps me coming back into the
Yeah.
game.
The net code's at least a little bit better right here.
Oh, it's way better. Like man, like after you dropped off, like they fixed Mortal Kombat 10. It feels like an offline game at this point.
Oh
Like
wow,
it's
that's
it's
yeah.
it's wonderful, man. And the
Yeah.
same with Dragon Ball Fighters. Like I love Dragon Ball Fighters, but
Yeah, like that would have been a sick game
yeah,
for like I honestly I want that to come to Xbox Game Pass so I can play it
yeah,
on my PC because
yeah.
that would be
It's
absolutely
it's
stellar.
it's so much fun. But like I think we need like another Marvel versus Capcom 4.
Yeah.
I think we need a Marvel versus Capcom game. I think we need a fighting game with characters that everyone will like that we can do
Hmm.
some crazy combos with that's fast paced and colorful. I think that's all we need.
Yeah.
Because I
I
mean we
like
have so many
Soul
games
Edge.
right now.
You remember Soul Edge? That was a
Yeah,
good game.
Yeah, they made Soul Calibur 6 last year, and or maybe 2018, but well, 2019 I think. But it was pretty good. It's a pretty good game.
Yeah,
I think it was even on Game Pass too.
yeah.
And Tekken 7's on Game Pass. Like it's good games out there. It just kind of depends on
Are you
what your
sure
cup of
it's on
tea
Game
is.
Pass for PC? Because if it is, I'm gonna download
I
that shit
I don't
right
know about
now.
PC, but I think console it was.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because
Yeah,
I don't know
I still
why they
think
do
Tekken
that.
7
Why
is.
would you have a different game for
Right.
Game Pass for console and PC? Just have it all
Yeah.
the same.
Exactly.
Like
I don't
honestly, I don't know if
understand it.
you've seen the games that are on there, but they're absolute trash. The
Yeah, I
only
know.
good like AAA titles that are on there are like Gears of War and Halo.
Halo.
That's it.
Yeah.
Those are the only AAA games that are really on that. Everything else is like random games you've never heard of
Yeah.
ever.
A bunch of indie games.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think they put Injustice 2 on Game Pass for console. I don't know about PC though. I'm gonna have
yeah.
to
No,
check
it's
into
not on
that.
console.
It's
No,
not on
It's
it's
not.
not on
No,
PC.
no.
That sucks.
Right? Like that's what I'm saying.
Like
There's
I get
nothing.
having an Xbox and you want
But
the
that's what they
PC
want,
players to have
right?
everything.
If you
Yeah.
want those good games, then you got to get an
You
Xbox,
gotta get the
right?
console.
So that I get that's why they do it. Like the
Yeah.
games that I'll play for the most part will all be
Or I'll be on
cross-platform.
console.
Well, no, I'm saying like the games that I'll play, like Halo, that's going to be on Game Pass for PC, right? They already said it's going to be a PC game anyway, right? It'll
Right.
be cross-platform, right? So, especially now with the integration to Series X having keyboard and mouse capability and all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
So it'll all be cross-platform anyway. So that's why I
Mhm.
didn't. That's why I decided not to. But um, yeah, like I just wish that you know they would just open it up. Like just say, hey, if you want an Xbox, get an
Mhm.
Xbox. If you want a computer, buy yourself a computer. It's still Windows. You still got to buy Windows,
Right.
kind of, I
Exactly.
guess, maybe, depending on who you are,
Right.
right? But yeah, just open it up and just like let it have like because I love Dragon Ball Fighter Z. Like my buddy
Hmm.
Nico and I, like he would literally come over to my house and we would have like 5 and 6 hour game sessions just smashing each other in that game,
Yeah.
right? So
And that game is super open because it's not really a strict learning curve.
no,
Like
it's
they
not.
have the auto combos, or you can make up your own combos.
Yeah,
It's kind of like Killer Instinct in that sense, because Killer Instinct now they put in the easy mode where you can just tap X and do a combo, but you can do what me and people like me and you, the seasoned players, know how to do and create
yeah,
our own combos to get more damage off.
yeah,
So
exactly.
I
Yeah,
think that's what a lot of games need to do. They need to make these games easy to play but hard to master. And I
yeah,
think that's the recipe for a great game.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, but I know to some film news. Let's get off of games real quick. But I know that you were wanting to talk about Deadpool, Deadpool 3 being put into the MCU, and on top of that, still being rated R. So you want to go ahead and leave that topic?
Yeah, I mean, it seems I don't know too much about it. Like I remember seeing that it was announced. Uh, Other than that, I didn't really have much information on it. I find it interesting, and I wonder how that's going to kind of play out with regards to, um, you know, with the MCU because it's MCU is not really an R-rated thing, right? It's Disney, right? It's owned by Disney and all that kind of stuff. So how that's
Right.
going to play out is going to be interesting. I mean, Deadpool is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Marvel character. So, and Ryan Reynolds does an amazing job at playing. Like
Yeah, he's great.
he was literally born to play that role. Like
Hmm.
that, like if you look at any of his movies, his banter, his comedy or anything like that, it's
Yeah,
Deadpool
that
to a
character
T.
fits him so well.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
it
remember
passes that
back
perfectly.
then where he put out like the where he quote unquote leaked the
Yeah,
footage of like the beginning of the movie. I was like, yo, this has to be real.
yeah,
Like we need this because that's when we were getting Iron Man and Thor and Captain America.
hmm
I was like, we need something rated R and edgy that's a
hmm
superhero movie.
yeah,
So when they finally announced, hey, it's real, we're gonna go through with it, I said, yes, Fox needed to do this.
yeah, yeah, man. It
They
was
needed
I
a
was
win
so
because
stoked.
I mean the X-Men movies were going down the drain.
Yeah,
Okay, we need this. So then they did that, and they also did Deadpool 2. which isn't as good
Yeah.
as Deadpool 1, but it wasn't terrible.
I would say it's pretty close. I would
Yeah.
agree with you. I wouldn't say it's as good as Deadpool 1, but I'd say
Yeah.
it's a close. It's a close.
Yeah, I think my
So
favorite scene had to be the X Force scene where they said, "Okay, we're gonna bring in these heroes," and you've seen pictures of them in the newspapers and magazines, and I'm like, "Okay,
yeah,
there's Terry Crews is in this movie. That's cool." They bring all these
right.
characters in just for them to
Ted
die
Cruz.
30 seconds later, and I'm like, "Yo, this is
Yeah.
hilarious." And
The
I'm looking
I
around and like people are like, "Oh man, I wanted to see." I'm like, "No, this is what I wanted." Like I
the
wanted them to
best
say, "Hey, we're going to bring in all these characters from all these different comics, and we're going to kill them off right away and get back to what's at hand." I said, "I needed that."
the best part, my favorite part in that movie was when they're doing the interviews and the guy that has no superpowers comes in. He's like,
Yeah,
I just saw it and I thought it'd be funny. He's like, you're
right.
in.
You're in.
And then you see what's his face,
Brad
like,
Pitt.
yeah, no, not Brad
Oh,
Pitt,
well,
the what's the guy's, Taj,
which one?
no, the guy that drives him around,
Oh,
the
Dopinder.
Dopinder, yeah.
Yeah,
He's
Dopinder.
like, what?
Right. He got in, but I didn't. But yeah, man, the Brad Pitt, the Invisible Man scene. I said, dude, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
Because it was so quick. Like when he flies in on the power cable and just starts getting electrocuted, I'm like, yo, is that Brad Pitt? And I'm looking around the theater. I got my buddy beside me. I was like, yo, that was Brad Pitt. And he was like, no way, no
No.
way. So I got
Jeez.
home and went on IMDb, and lo and behold, I see Brad Pitt uncredited. I said, I knew it. And then I think Matt Damon was one of the rednecks at the beginning. I'm like, yo, this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
this
he
is
was. Yeah,
this is great.
yeah. They
Like
had a
I
lot of
love
big title
Deadpool too,
names in
but
there.
I think it just Deadpool 1 just hits different for me.
Oh yeah, same.
Just because,
Yeah,
like I said, I've seen the teaser and I was like, yo, this has to be real. Then it
yeah,
came to be. So I'm
yeah.
hoping they can keep the same magic with Deadpool 3. I think
Absolutely.
that its inclusion to the MCU is going to open up a lot more possibilities for more of these films to be rated R.
Yeah, I just want
Because
Hugh Jackman in there. That's all I want.
me too, but I don't know how they'll do it. Because I
Well,
feel like the send off that they did for Logan, I think that was perfect.
but see but that's far in the future though.
Yeah.
Deadpool is not that far in the future, right? So it's a different
But
timeline.
here's the thing though. I feel like they bring Hugh Jackman back is gonna make Logan feel so much smaller than what it is. And that's what I was also going to
Mm,
get to. They announced today that Chris Evans is going to be returning as Captain America. And I'm like, if you remember in Endgame, have you ever seen Endgame?
yes, I have. Yeah,
Okay, well, yeah, you know where Endgame was like the send off for Iron Man and Captain America.
yeah,
So I'm like, okay, bringing these characters back are going to make these older movies just feel so much smaller than what they are.
yeah. I don't know how, like, so different timelines, different what's universes and all that kind of stuff is kind of how
Mm-hmm.
that works. But it's it'll be interesting. I don't know if it's going to downplay so much. It might.
Yeah,
I mean, it still has that impact, right? Like Iron Man died,
yeah,
right? Like Iron Man died. You know, Chris Evans, he left to pursue his relationship as he wanted to,
mm-hmm.
like do all the stuff that he wanted to do, and then who knows, he could come back, and like they somehow go back in time and pull him back out, and he doesn't have that relationship, but he has that
Right.
memory or whatever. Right? Who knows, right?
Mm-hmm.
The the possibilities I feel like are just endless with how they've kind of structured everything. So
Right.
um, it could go anyway, really.
Right.
So who knows?
I hope that Disney just does the right thing. I have a love
Mm.
hate relationship with Disney. What they've done with Marvel and Star Wars and Lucasfilms, I don't know. I'm super sketchy about it. Just
Yeah,
because I love Star Wars growing up. Episode 7, I felt like okay, this is a good start. But when I saw The Last Jedi, I said, yeah, I didn't like that at all.
mm.
Then Rise of Skywalker, I was like, yeah, I'm done with Star Wars movies for now. Like
Yeah,
they just messed up whatever they had going for them.
yeah,
And I mean, I love the game still, and the Mandalorian is great, and the TV
yeah.
shows that are lined up, they seem to be really well. That's it's going to be made and everything. But
Oh, heads up! I don't know if you know this. Sorry to interrupt.
yeah,
I just got a message from a friend of mine. He said
mm,
that Battlefront 2
yeah,
is free right now.
yeah. It's on Game Pass, I believe now, Well, I
Is it
think it
game?
has been.
No,
Yeah, but
no,
me.
from EA. It's free
Oh,
from
it's free
EA.
from them. Yeah. Well, you know
Yeah.
that EA lost their exclusive Star Wars license.
Oh,
Yeah. So all the Star Wars games going forward are just going to be Lucas Arts games or whatever it's going to be called. I think it's
oh,
something like that. So yeah, EA no
hmm,
longer has exclusivity to Star Wars games, which I think is amazing because I
yeah,
loved the Jedi Fallen Order game. I loved it, but I feel like EA was kind of holding that back in a sense where they were
mm,
just like, okay, let's just put this game out because we've messed up everything else. Like they messed up
yeah,
Battlefront 1, they messed up Battlefront 2 when it was first released, but thank goodness it's a better game now than it was.
yeah,
Um, I think a lot of things need to get away from EA. Football,
yeah,
NFL too. Like I don't like how EA is the only one that can make Madden games. I feel like
yeah,
they need help, basically,
yeah,
because they're using last year's and assets from 4 years ago today, which I don't think is the best way
no,
to make a new video game.
no,
Granted, they're making these games every year. I think they should still just kind of let someone else take the head of it and do better with it overall.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah, staying on films, I seen that Netflix they announced 70 movies that are going to be coming this year.
Hmm.
Now, you know that I'm a huge theater goer. Like
Yeah,
before March last year, I went to the movies several times a week. And
yeah,
that's just because I had a membership. I had a Regal membership where I could see whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted,
right.
for $23.50 a month. So that you couldn't get much better than that.
No, absolutely
Considering
not.
you go to the movies and you can spend uh
23 bucks in one
yeah,
day.
$7 matinee, maybe 12 during the night,
Yeah,
and doing that several times a week, that's gonna add up eventually.
yeah, yeah,
So
absolutely.
I was even going different times in one day
Yeah,
just
yeah.
because I could.
Why
So
not?
when I remember, I don't know if I told you, but my last time going to the movies, I went to go see the movie called The Way Back with Ben Affleck. And before I walked in, I got a message where I got the little notification saying that A Quiet Place 2 was going to get delayed. And then Fast and Furious 9 was going to get delayed at the same time. So I was like, okay, what's
Yeah.
happening? So I go in and I tell the lady working, I'm like, hey, these movies just got delayed. She was like, oh, wow. Then that means that there are going to be more delays. I'm like, yeah. So I go in,
Yeah.
I watch the movies. Right when my movie ends, I get an email from Regal while I'm in there saying they're shutting theaters down today. And they'll let us know
Oh,
when they open back up. So I'm leaving and I'm walking out and I see the same girl outside. I'm like, hey, I just got an email saying that you guys are going to be closing. She was like, no, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh my God, I have to find another job. I'm like, I am so sorry to deliver the news to you this way, but I just
right. Oh
found
my
out from
goodness.
your company that y'all are going to be closing. So
Jeez.
yeah, they closed until September, I think it was. I went to go and see
Wow.
Tenet, and I seen her there, and she was like, yeah, we just opened back up, but I don't know how much I'm going to be working this job still, just because
Yeah.
we might be shutting back down soon. I think they shut down 2 months after that in like November. They said they're going to be closing all the Regal and AMC theaters.
Wow.
And I even did an episode on my podcast called "Support Local Theaters" because those are the only things that are really staying alive right now.
Yeah.
And the only reason they're staying alive is because they are charging the same amounts for the tickets, the movie tickets, but the concessions are super cheap.
Yeah.
Like at my theater now, a tub of popcorn would be maybe $8 or $9, but now it's like 5.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's more affordable to go to the movies now, but they need that extra money to stay alive because that's
Yeah.
where theaters
Absolutely.
make most of their money from is from concessions.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think most of the movies, well, most of the money that are coming from the tickets go back to the studios and so forth. But yeah,
Yeah.
with Netflix putting out all these movies, I think that Netflix needed this win,
Hmm.
but I feel like Disney Plus and HBO Max were doing Netflix better than Netflix. Like
Yeah.
the WB announcement with HBO Max was a big part of I think why Netflix made this announcement
Yeah. Well, they
because
had
you're
to
gonna
do something, right?
yeah.
Because if they just stayed stagnant, then they just become irrelevant. Like, I mean, really, truly, what
Hmm.
what content have they really put out that's, you know,
Meaningful,
decent? No,
right?
yeah, right. Nothing. Like you got Apple TV with that C
Yeah,
with Jason Momoa, which is a
yeah,
fantastic show. I don't know if you've ever watched it, but it's great.
yeah,
You've got Disney Plus with the Mandalorian,
yeah. And then
right?
they
The
have
only
their
thing that
movies
I
on
can
top
think
of that.
Yeah, the only thing that Netflix really put out in the last little while that was good was The Witcher.
Yeah, that, and I also watched the Queen's Gambit. I don't know if you've seen that yet, but
No, I haven't
it's
seen that.
about
No.
chess, and I didn't think I like it, but it was pretty good overall. I enjoyed what I
Yeah.
watched. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm telling people like they need this win just because everyone else is getting up higher, and then Netflix. I mean, we're paying. I think
Like
Netflix just went up on their
$13. Yeah.
prices. Yeah, they went up to. I have the big package because the 4K and everything. I think I'm paying like 18 or 19
Yeah.
bucks now. And I mean, even with HBO Max, like that's with my
That's
cable
pretty.
provider, and then Disney Plus is
Yeah.
like $6.99 a month. So I'm like, you're
Yeah.
gonna get beat by a lot of these other companies because I can cancel my Netflix and
Yeah.
not miss anything. But some of these
Yeah.
movies
Exactly.
I'm looking forward to, like the one called Malcolm and Marie. I don't know if you heard about that one, but it has
No.
John David Washington from Tenet and Zendaya, and they shot this movie kind of in secret during quarantine. So
Hmm.
it's just like it's basically just them two. It's a black and white
Wow.
film about love. So that
Wow.
looks
That's
pretty
kind of cool.
good. Army of the Dead looks pretty good. I don't know if you've seen anything about that one, but that one has Batista and Amari
Scary movie.
Hardwick.
Probably won't watch it.
Yeah, it's probably zombie related. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Red Notice, which has The Rock, Ryan Reynolds, and Gal Gadot, and that looks good too. I don't know if you saw
Is
that one
that like
either, but
a shooter, like a shoot 'em up
yeah,
movie
it's gonna
type
be
comedy?
more like an action comedy type movie.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
I'd be
that's
in for
that's
that.
The
Yeah.
Rock and Ryan Reynolds' steed right there. That's
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
excel in. So I
Yeah.
think it'll be good with those two behind that movie.
Yeah.
And
It'll probably be pretty successful.
yeah, I'm
There was
I'm I'm
actually a
truly
movie
hoping
that was
so.
released on Netflix with Ryan Reynolds. It was Six Underground, I think is what it was called.
Yeah, Six Underground. Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
It
that was
was
I liked it. I liked
it
it.
was it was a good turn your brain off and just watch type of movie.
Yeah.
Like
Oh yeah,
if
for
if
sure.
you think too much into it, it's gonna hurt your head.
Yeah,
But if
yeah.
you
It
if
was
you
a good
turn it
action
on,
flick. Yeah,
yeah, and that's what I liked about it. And Michael Bay directed that one, so I was like, yeah,
yeah,
I liked it more than I think
yeah,
I
yeah.
should have. But I think that Sorry to Bother You was one of the best movies to come out that year. It came out, and I know that you said that you didn't really care for it. Now I want to hear your review on Sorry to Bother You, directed by Boots Riley.
Uh, I didn't. I mean, for me, I didn't really find like if it was a comedy, I didn't laugh at one part in it,
Right.
right? And so I didn't really find it funny. Like um, I don't know. Like I felt it was, uh, I don't know. Like I couldn't. I mean, relating to it, trying to relate to it. For me, like I've had struggle, like money struggle and stuff like that, right? So,
Hmm.
um, and one of the in one of the scenes, like I love Danny Glover,
Right.
right? Like he's one of my like Lethal Weapon. It's like one
It
of my
was it
favorite
was good seeing
movies.
him in this movie though. It was good seeing him
Yeah,
act again.
yeah, absolutely, right. And then when he's talking about like do your white voice, like
Yeah.
I'm like, what does that even mean? One,
Right.
right? And then like saying like, oh well, like, pretend like you don't care, like you don't need this, like a white person. I was like, well, that's not really fair to say,
Right. It's
right?
really stereotypical, and
Yeah,
that's
right.
it's a common thing with a lot of African Americans like myself. Sometimes we have to be from somewhere else to get somewhere else.
Sure.
In the sense, there are people that have been brought up in a totally different environment than a lot of other people have, and they
Hmm.
have this certain dialect.
Sure.
And then sometimes I get a job where they can't use that dialect, or they just get fired or let go
Yeah.
because the company has said, "Okay, we can do better without you."
Hmm.
So you have a lot of people with that certain dialect that kind of teach themselves how to they reteach themselves how to talk,
Hmm.
and they call it talking white, and it's super racist in a way. But it's
Right.
it's the
Yeah.
same thing as somebody saying, okay, you at ghetto or you're ratchet. It's basically in that same vein. So
Yeah.
in this movie, it's like, hey, if you want these people to listen to you, you have to talk in a way that they'll understand.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's basically what the movie is. It's basically, I took it as you have this guy, this low life, this loser, this
Yeah.
broke, and living in his uncle's garage. He
Yeah.
needs to get out. He needs to find his way up. So he gets this job and he cheats to get the job. You see, he had the fake trophy of the employee of the month and stuff. And the guy's like, "Yeah, I know
Yeah.
this guy. He doesn't even work there anymore." So I think
Yeah.
that was kind of funny. The Stephen Yeun from The Walking Dead that played Glenn. I think seeing him in that movie was kind of shocking to me. I
Yeah.
was like, I didn't think that he'd pop up, but
There
here he
was one
is.
thing that I did actually really like in that movie, though,
What's
and it
that?
really speaks to something that I believe in. So when just as he got his promotion
Mm-hmm.
into the, what did they call it again? The something caller, um,
Oh, the power caller.
power caller. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, when they were setting up to do like a union thing or whatever, and he said, "Don't let my success judge you," or something to that effect. Like he's like, "My success has nothing to do with what you are trying to accomplish, and don't put me under that."
Right.
And I truly believe in that because you know people are always going to be jealous of other people's success,
Mm-hmm.
right? And one thing, like again, kind of reaching back to like some of the motivational stuff that I listen to,
Mm-hmm.
people talking about don't let other people judge you based off of your success, because
Right.
what they're doing when they judge you is showing you their shortcomings, not yours,
Mm-hmm.
right? So one thing that like I did absolutely agree and relate to when he said that, I was like, yeah, like that makes sense, right? And that can go across anybody,
Right.
right? Doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, or anything. If you're successful, it's because you're working hard, you're doing what you should be doing, that sort of thing, right? You really believe in what you're doing. And like
Right.
you know for me, like I was always brought up like, if you want something, you have to go and get it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not gonna knock at your door, sort of thing, right? Like it's,
Right.
if you want something, you have to go and be willing to get it. You got to be the first person to show up and the last person to leave, sort of thing, right? So,
Right.
so I did really relate to that, and
Mm-hmm.
that part I did like because that
Yeah.
spoke to me. So,
Yeah. I like that part
um,
a lot
but
too,
yeah,
because it was like he knew that he needed to get out. But when he got
yeah,
out and got where he needed to be, he was like, okay, so what's the next step? I don't know. All I know is,
yeah,
being fake and getting to the top. And I think that's why I
yeah,
think that it's a good social commentary movie in that aspect, because
yeah,
you have this guy, like I said, he's a low life, willing to do whatever it takes to get to the top. But once he gets to the top, what else is there to do?
yeah,
He
exactly,
still
right.
gets
So,
taken. He still gets taken advantage of by the big corporation,
yeah, oh yeah,
and
and that's
that
gonna like it. Success is success in a way,
yeah,
right? But also
it's
at
subjective.
what exactly,
Like your version of
exactly.
success may be different from my version of success.
Absolutely. It
Yeah.
and like so, and this is one of the things, like when I was going through all that kind of stuff in 2017,
Mm-hmm.
one of the conversations I had with somebody was, I because I said I felt like I wasn't successful,
Right.
right? So that's something that I struggled with, right? So they're like, well, do you have a job? I'm like, yes. I'm like, okay. Then they asked me, do you have a family? I said, yes.
Yeah.
Do you provide for your family? I said,
Mm-hmm.
yes. Do you have a house over your head? I said, yes. Are you able to put food on your table? Yes. I said, then you're successful,
Successful. Yeah.
right? So, and then so after hearing it in that kind of frame of mind, and looking at it from that lens,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of
Made you look at
changed
things
my,
differently.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
right. So, and people struggle with that, and like it's like I struggled with it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure lots of people struggle with that type of thing, right? Like
Right.
people, I think, look at success as, and this is kind of, I think, how things are glorified in the world now. Like you're only successful if you have tons of money and you know fancy cars, a massive house, name brand clothes, all this, all these materialized things, but
Right.
really that's not really the measure of
They
success.
they think of success as being a goal
Yeah,
instead of it being a journey.
yeah,
And that's where a
yeah,
lot of people get lost in the sauce at.
yeah, yeah. So, and I think in that movie, the idea that he had was to he wanted to be somebody, right? Like,
Yep. Be someone and get
um,
rich.
yeah, and then
But then
by
once he
doing
got his
so,
money, he lost everything. He lost his friends. He
yeah,
lost his girlfriend, and he really didn't talk to his family or anything like that. And that
yeah,
just goes to show
yeah.
that's how much he
So
was willing to go through just to be quote unquote successful.
right
And that's
now, and
why. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say with the statement that he made about my success and stuff like that,
Hmm.
has nothing to do with you
Right.
or what you're trying to achieve. It's a statement that he's making, albeit that the statement that he's making is based off of the success that he's had as being fake, right?
Right.
But looking at the statement as just a statement and not what he's going through, that's
Hmm.
how I related to it. Was
Hmm.
like, I don't want other people, you know, crapping on me just because I'm achieving some of the goals that I want to achieve,
Right.
right? And that's how I looked at it, right? I
Yeah.
didn't look at it as him being fake and all that kind of stuff, because
Hmm.
absolutely, like, I mean, if you're gonna sell out everything you own to be successful, then I mean, obviously there's a
So be
problem
it.
there, right? Like,
Right.
and
And
right,
that's why. That's another
so
reason
it
I
comes
liked
down
it.
to integrity at that point.
Yeah. I mean, he carried around the picture of his grandpa
Yeah,
or his dad, and then
yeah,
early on when he got the job, his dad was in the picture smiling and happy and
yeah,
everything. But then when he moved to the top floor, he put the picture up, and his dad was just kind of like making his face like, "What are you doing?"
yeah,
But then when he was super successful and he hung the picture up in his new fancy apartment and everything, his dad was disappointed in the picture.
yeah,
So that just goes to show, yeah, you've gotten all this money, you're in this new place, but the way that you went about it, I can't agree with.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
getting rid of your friends and losing your girlfriend, that's just not what I would have done in that situation. But
Yeah,
I think my favorite part of this movie was when they were outside. I think this was at the strike. He was trying to go upstairs
yeah.
and his buddy's outside. And he was like, "Oh
It
well,
just
I hope you have a great day. Well, I hope you have a better week. What is that? What is that cologne you got on? Yeah, this is Burberry. What
yeah,
about you? Yeah, it's just deodorant. It smells good."
yeah, yeah. That
I
was
feel
good.
like that was hilarious to me, and like I said, I think I know exactly where the movie took a turn for you, and that was after he started working at the top floor and he went to the corporate party. I bet that's exactly where you said, "Okay, yeah, this movie is not what I was expecting it to be."
Yeah, like yeah. I didn't. To be honest, I didn't really know what to expect.
Right.
And watching it, and like for me, when I watch movies, like, depending on the movie, I'm not much of a movie thinker type person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so when I'm watching a movie, I'm more looking to, like, for that big laugh or that big action
Yeah,
scene,
that big
or
climax.
that right. So for me, this is more of a thinking movie and
Mm-hmm.
relating to it, sort of thing, right? And
Yeah, it's more of a
um,
story piece. It just kind of
yeah,
it has its peaks and valleys, but
yeah,
overall, there's no big this huge climax where something happens and then they deal with it.
yeah,
The movie just
yeah.
kind of
So
goes.
I mean, he definitely had his struggles, and I can appreciate that, right? Like, and I
Mm-hmm.
can relate to that too, right? So,
Yeah.
everybody wants to be able to provide for their family, provide for their loved ones, and all that kind of stuff. So that's where I can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but and then not wanting to be that quote unquote sellout, right?
Right.
Like, I mean, and this is something that I recently just kind of struggled with, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's definitely a thinker movie, and like I said, I don't know, at what point it wasn't that I was lost on the movie or I didn't enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a typical movie that I would watch,
Right.
right?
And that's why I
Like,
wanted you to watch it. I just
yeah,
sometimes I like recommending movies that aren't really what people's forte is.
yeah, yeah.
Like you told me your favorite movie was Top Gun, and I was like, yeah, he's gonna hate Sorry to Bother You because of that reason. Like I'm gonna give him a movie that he would not enjoy to hear his thoughts on it.
Yeah,
And
so
yeah,
it
and like
definitely made me think, for sure.
yeah, because I
Absolutely.
mean you hear the expression all the time, man, they're working me like a horse. And then in
Yeah,
the movie, they literally turn people into horses and make them work.
yeah,
So I think that it was a kind of cute on the nose, corny joke at the end of it and
yeah,
everything. And I think overall I gave it maybe a 7 or 8 out of 10 just because I liked how it was more of a social commentary film, but it had a lot of this corny and underhanded humor thrown into it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, but it was definitely a movie that raised some eyebrows in the theater I was in because, I mean, the trailer sets it up to make it look like a comedy,
yeah,
but not a really comedy slash fantasy slash social commentary film.
yeah.
But it was a good surprise when I saw it. I
Yeah,
was
it's almost like a social experiment type thing.
right. Like when the movie was over, I was just kind of like, all right, that happened. But I
Yeah,
liked it. I didn't hate it. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. And that's kind of where I'm at with it too, right? It's not like I didn't like it or I didn't not like it,
Right. It's
right?
just it was you just weren't used to it.
Yeah, I was like I didn't know what to think. I was just like, hmm,
Right.
kind of pondering things, right? So,
Yeah.
but like I said, there were definitely parts that I could relate to
Hmm.
in that movie. So, and that I can appreciate.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, that was really why I wanted you to watch it because you were like, yeah, my favorite movie is Top Gun, and I was like, man, what is a movie that I know that he hasn't seen that I found pretty jarring when I watched it. So I landed on that one. Like I said, I went to Netflix Canada and I saw it on the top page on the front page and I was like, yeah, that's a good one. But man, we're getting ready to wrap this up. So I want to do something new and I want to ask you one question.
Sure.
What advice would you give to the people to help them make the world a better place?
Whew, that is a good question.
You know?
To make the world a better place, I think um, in order for the world to become a better place, you've got to start looking at um, accountability,
Yeah.
right? I think that, um, and being a father myself, teaching my girls to be accountable for their actions um, is really important to me because if you think about, um, you know, what happens if you do something, okay,
Hmm.
well, there's cause and effect, right?
Right.
Um, so and a lot of things can come from accountability. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that okay, well, you've done something cause and effect, right? But
Hmm.
it mostly does because if you say okay, well, hey, um, if you show compassion and love, well, there's a cause and effect for that,
Right.
right? So it's kind of a multi-layered type thing. So compassion and love will ultimately I think help with you know making the world a better place. But there's also got to be accountability for the other side of that, right? When
Exactly.
when there's that hate and uh, whatever the opposite of non-compassion would be, or sorry, whatever the opposite of compassion would be, right? Not showing
Hmm.
compassion. Um, we have to have acceptance, right?
Right.
Um, and in a world where, hey, you can um, be who you want to be, associate with who you want to associate, like be part of whatever group that you want to be part of. It's okay for that if that's your world to live in, and that's great. I'll accept that, but
Hmm.
you also, I feel like you still also have to accept, you know, my view on it as well,
Right.
right? So like acceptance has to come from both sides of the table as opposed to just one side,
One. Yeah.
right? So, and I think a lot of people struggle with that because it's like, well, if I'm feeling specifically on like on one way on one topic, and and then let's say you have a different point of view,
Hmm.
and I don't accept your point of view, and my point of view is the only point of view that
Yeah.
I'll accept.
You're always
Well,
right.
right. So, and how is that fair to you?
Exactly.
Right. So, I feel like if I have a point of view, I can have that point of view. You can be okay with my point of view,
Hmm.
but I also have to be okay with your point of view.
Right.
Right. So, um, that like those would be probably the three things that I would say that would be needed to have this world as a better place, right? So
Yeah.
accountability for your actions, whether positive or negative,
Hmm.
um, love and compassion and acceptance
Yeah.
on both sides of the aisle, as it were.
Yeah.
Especially if you take a look at current events going on in
Right. Yeah.
where you're at
And
right now.
yeah, it's a little crazy, but yeah, I thought about this question long and hard, pause, but I was just like, yeah, I landed on one. And my advice is just for everyone to just be good people,
Yeah,
because no matter whichever way you attack it, it all starts from within, and we have to make these changes to change things outside of us.
yeah,
That's what I think, and I think that being a good person is different from being good to people,
yeah,
because I could go out and be an asshole to everyone, but then come home and be nice to you and be nice to whoever I want to be nice to. I
yeah,
think when I say good people, be good people, I mean be good to everyone,
yeah,
not necessarily treat everyone on an equal playing field, but just don't be mean to people for no reason.
yeah.
Don't be hateful to people for no reason. It all starts from within.
Does this count for video games too when we're destroying people?
Yeah, 100%. We need to not be toxic, and um, when the games are over, we need to say, "Hey, good game. I've never played anyone like you today." So yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit of kindness goes a long way.
Sure, absolutely. But I
Yeah,
mean, when you get that dub and you beat all the rest and all the
yeah. You
haters,
get a little braggadocious.
you got to
You got
brag
to
a
talk a little
little.
trash. Yeah, just a little bit.
But you know what? So here's the thing though.
Yeah.
There's talking trash and chirping people like, hey, you know, you guys chirped me for being a boomer the other day, right? And like it was funny, right?
It
I
was
didn't
funny. It
take
was all good
I,
fun.
I and that's just it, right? Like
Yeah,
I didn't take I didn't take it the wrong way or anything like that. Like
yeah.
I laughed with you. I laughed at
Right.
myself, right? And that's
You
the thing.
have
Like
to
there's
sometimes.
yeah, right. So and that's the thing.
Yeah.
I feel like you can certainly trash talk or whatever, but
Right.
not ill willed, right? Like it's all
Yeah.
in good fun. Like, oh yeah, I,
You
I
don't want to.
destroyed
You don't want to
you
win a game
or
and say, "Dude, what were you doing? You're so bad. You should turn the game off and
yeah, like
go work a 10 to 3." Like, what are
yeah,
you doing
yeah.
here?
Like just like, oh, you just got wrecked, man. What's up?
Right.
Like something quick like that. Like because it's all just you're trash talking, but in good fun, right? Like
Right.
in whenever I say like, oh, you're getting wrecked or I'm destroying you or whatever, right? Like it's all
Hmm.
in good fun. I'm
Yeah.
never the type of person to be like, oh, you're absolute trash. Like you suck. Like
Yeah.
you
You
don't
should stop playing the
just
game.
yeah. I would like. I think that's so wrong. Like people
Right.
are all at different
They
skill
a lot of people, they
levels,
just
but
take it to the next level, and they
yeah,
don't realize that it's too much.
yeah, absolutely. So
Yeah. And for the
you
most
got to
part,
have fun
Brandon,
sometimes.
yeah, for the most part, Brandon, I think that's about it for me. Do you have anything else you want to add? Oh, we need to plug your Twitch.
Mm,
That's twitch.tv/Reaper. That's REAPRBR. So make
yep,
sure you go there, follow him,
appreciate it.
subscribe if you need to. He is Twitch affiliated now, so
Absolutely.
it was a long
All
time
of
coming.
my all my socials are all the same as well. So I also
Yeah, it's
have
Twitter,
Twitter, Instagram,
Instagram,
and TikTok.
TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all at Reaper BR. So REAPRBR.
Yep.
So if you want to get notifications, see some of my craziness with Domo on the side there,
Yep.
with me, killing it. By all means, hit me up with a
You have a
follow there.
great
And
time.
HMU,
Yeah.
HMU.
HMU. And
No, I just totally lost your favorite thought. I just
yeah, I had something on my mind, but man, I just lost it thinking about it. It was so hilarious. I was like, HMU, like, what does that mean? You're like, hit my. I'm like, no. Oh man, that was
Yep,
fun though. But
yep.
man, thank you so much for coming to the Dom Trap, man. It's been about time. I
I
know we talked
appreciate it,
about it a
man.
couple of months ago, so it's good to have you on here. Definitely one of my favorite streamers. Like I said, we go way back, so
Yep.
it was only right that I have you on here. To everyone else, thank you for listening. Thanks for the YouTube views, and be good people. As I mentioned before, it all starts from within. So change yourself to change the things around you. Um, and for the people that are kind of down right now, I know there's a lot going on. Just know that I love you. I hope that you're staying safe and staying warm because it's chilly outside. And yeah, just basically being okay in this cold world that we're living in. And this has been Dominique. Once again, your director, your editor, your first, your last, your everything. This has been the Dom Chap, gosh damn it, and I will see you all next time. Peace out.